Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Schillen here, and I'm back with another TheMMATakeover.com special edition. Today's guest is a fighter with a 5-1 MMA record and making his second appearance in the UFC. He fights this Saturday at UFC Fight Night 104 in Houston, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, the Werewolf of Texas, Daniel Jolly. Daniel, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
I'm excellent. Thanks so much for coming. We really appreciate you taking the time and speaking with us, and all the people that listen. We appreciate you taking this time out. So the first question we always ask people, because everyone always has such a different answer, is how did you get into mixed martial arts?
I feel like it's just kind of been martial arts. Traditional martial arts has been a part of my family since I was a little kid. My dad is a master in this martial art called Kuk Sool Won, and he did Taekwondo growing up. He owns a big school in San Antonio, and so he started teaching me as early as probably 4 years old. So it's just always been a part of my life. And, with the growing popularity of mixed martial arts and everything like that, I had played college football, but it just felt like a natural transition for me to go ahead and try everything I'd been learning throughout my childhood in the highest level of competition if I could make it.
So you said you played college football. What position did you play?
I played running back.
Oh, yeah?
At the University of Colorado for 2 years, and then I played at Texas State for 2.
Oh, wow. So you were a really high recruit. So you obviously you did football, and then you did martial arts growing up.
Yes.
Wow, that's really impressive. I mean, you got to play at that's a D1 school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I think a lot of people aren't aware of that, but I've been a high-level athlete my entire life.
Yeah,
so.
I'm surprised because usually when you get in the UFC and you had guys like Ofen St. Preux and who's the other guy, Jordan, what's his name, what's the first guy's name, Sean Jordan, whatever his name. These guys who's been D1 athletes, they usually mention that. Yeah, as far as I know, I don't think they mentioned that you were a running back for a D1 school. That's extremely impressive. Yeah. Did we lose him? Can you hear me, Daniel?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought we lost you for a second. We've having some technical difficulties. Now you mentioned that you're you're a black belt in Kuk Sool Won. Now, I'm not even going to pretend like I know anything about that. Can you kind of like just inform us exactly what kind of martial arts, what areas you specialize in that?
Kuk Sool is kind of a comprehensive study of all of the traditional martial arts of Korea. So I can't really say it's like a taekwondo per se or anything like that, but it has all the striking techniques, weapons, small joint manipulation. But it's a traditional martial art coming from Korea. It's a little over 50 years old now, so it's pretty well established, but not, I would say, in the mainstream consciousness of most people. And there's definitely not a conversation about it in the context of people transitioning from Kuk Sool to MMA. So I'm probably the first person that people will be aware of who've made that transition.
Yeah.
Gary Goodridge did a little bit of Kuk Sool, but far as still being active within the organization, and like I said, my dad's pretty high up in the organization and things like that. I'm probably the only active person on the roster.
Now,
with that background.
Does your dad corner you?
No.
No, he doesn't corner you. I was just wondering if he was cornering you.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be fighting out of American Top Team this
All right.
fight.
Now, has your dad cornered you in the past or no?
No, I mean he's always a phone call away, and he makes it to every fight. He'll be to this fight. He gives pointers and things like that, but he was in my corner throughout my childhood during my, competitive point fighting and semi-full contact fighting and everything like that. But I've always had a full coaching staff, either at the gyms I was in Texas or now at American Top Team.
And now, how long have you been with American Top Team?
This is going to be my first camp with them.
Okay.
I just made the adjustment. Just based off of how I felt with my performance in the last fight, and I knew that I had to push myself and try to force an evolution to get to the next level. So I would look for a big camp, and this just ended up being a great fit for me.
Okay. So now, obviously, American Top Team, anyone who follows mixed martial arts at all should know about American Top Team. It's one of, if not the best mixed martial arts team in the entire country, where they have satellite campuses all over the world. What improvements have you got just being at American Top Teams? What improvements have you seen?
I like to say I learned how to compete at a high level on a day-to-day basis, and it just normalized the experience of being in the UFC, if that makes sense. I've been here for about 8 weeks now, and there's been numerous guys who've come, had camps, and have fought. And there are guys who are showing up every weekend who will be fighting after me. So instead of having this larger-than-life deal going into the competition or into the UFC this weekend or this bout, it's kind of like a next man up mentality.
Sure.
You've been training with these guys. You watch all your peers go out and perform every weekend. You know, guys come back and just get right back into the routine and continue to train. So it normalizes everything, and I think it kind of takes the edge off, but adds an edge too, because you're ready to, like I said, step up and kind of have a next man up mentality and get the job done.
So we actually just interviewed one of your teammates yesterday, Jeff Munson, and he was bragging about, saying, hey, you know, this is a guy who's won Abu Dhabi twice. I mean, this guy's one of the best grapplers of all time, and he's talking about, yeah, he walks in the room and he gets, you know, it's a who's who, it's a, you know, murder's row in there, and he says, hey, sometimes I walk in and there's 50 black belts, you know, on the mat, or, you know, there's world champions and stuff. Who are some of your training, who are the guys who you've been specifically training with, sparring with, and what coaches have you been specifically working with?
I've gotten to work with a lot of the coaches here. I would say mainly Dean has had a lot of influence on my game. Coach Cattell. I'm gonna forget people if I try to start naming everybody off. Steve Maka, just the entire staff. I mean, when you come here and they decide to take you on and make you a part of the team, you have almost an endless access to numerous sources of knowledge. So I don't want to start reeling off names because I know I'm going to forget some people. And literally every sparring session, there's multiple coaches with multiple expertises, and they're just one question away from opening up a new way of thinking or problem solving. So everyone does a great job of helping the fighters while we're getting ready for the fights.
Anybody in particular you've been sparring with?
I can't really remember everybody's name at this point. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't want you to miss somebody, and next time you spar them, they give you an extra shot for forgetting to mention them.
Yeah, so I mean, just all the guys who came through just haven't. Yeah, so there's always good talent in the room, and I've only been here, like I said, it's been about 2 months, and I'm bad with names, so I could definitely point people out faces wise, you know, but
now,
yeah,
does a team do anything special for like the fights? Like last night, obviously, there was fights on. Jorge Masvidal is American Top Team guy. Obviously, he was in the co-main event. He got the biggest win of his career. Do they get together and watch the fights together, or is there anything special they do?
I mean, like some guys get together and watch the fights. Excuse me. I'm living in the dorm right now, so they have a nice TV in the living room and stuff like that. So a lot of us come out of our rooms and watch the fights together on the couches on the weekend. So that's how I've seen a majority of the cards leading up to mine, just hanging out on the weekend, resting and recovering, and turning the fights on and watching them in the dormitory here.
Now, did you watch last night's fights?
Yes.
So you guys must have been pretty excited when Jorge got that, which was considered a pretty big upset. Beautiful knockout over Donald Cerrone. You guys must have been rocking at that point.
Yeah, it was an awesome performance. I can't sit here and say that I wasn't a little conflicted because I'm from Austin, and Donald Cerrone's done a lot of work with Onnit, so I've met him as well. Okay. So I've been able to humanize both guys because I've met both. Both of them are awesome people, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of just took a step back, and, you know, I never want to see Donald lose because he's one of my favorite guys even before I had met him. But if someone had to take him out, I'm glad it was Masvidal. He was an awesome guy. I'm not going to pretend to say I spent a lot of time with him, but when I did run into him, he was very open, very cool, talked to me immediately, wasn't standoffish. Sure. So he seemed like an honest, pretty awesome dude at a glance. Like I said, I don't know him personally, and I'm not going to pretend like I have a deep relationship to him, but I feel like the person that you see is what you get.
Sure.
And he doesn't put on any airs where he walks around the gym like he's better than anybody. Like I said, he immediately opened up to me and asked me where I was from and stuff while he was getting ready and training a couple times I did see him.
Sure. No, I know he had to leave the camp early. He was training a lot in Denver because of, obviously, he's fighting the high elevation. You got to, of Denver, you had to adjust to that. Now, let's back up a little bit. Your nickname, the Werewolf of Texas. How'd you get that nickname?
Just partially, I think. I like to think, and I guess I've been told by a lot of people, that I'm just a pretty nice dude in my day-to-day life, you know? So just kind of something to describe that transformation. I've had a couple quick finishes early in my career, and kind of tended to, it almost looked like antics. I would get so hyped when I'd get some of the finishes and things like that. And there was this song that had come out early in my pro career that was talking about werewolves and things like that. So I was just kind of looking for something to personify that transformation, I guess, that takes part, because I'm not myself when I'm in there per se. In my day-to-day life, I kind of seek out harmony. Pretty peaceful dude. Don't really like confrontation, but obviously when I'm in there, it's a whole different animal. So I think just that and being a good athlete, having the beard, the fang mouthpiece, that kind of stuff, it all just kind of came together for me. And my second pro fight, I want to say, I kind of just crawled into the cage and looked up like I was howling at the moon, and people started howling, and I knew I had kind of stumbled upon something there and just ran with it.
Sure. Now, you mentioned the early part of your career. You're actually probably still in the early part of your career. I mean, you only have 6 pro fights. You got the call.
Yeah, definitely.
You were 5-0 when you got the call to be in the UFC. You got the call to fight Misha Cirkunov on, I believe it was about 11 or 12 days notice, correct?
Yeah, it was like 10 days notice.
10 days notice, okay. So most guys don't get the call at only 5 fights in their career. Is that a call that you expected to get? And if so, how did that call come in?
I can't necessarily say I expected it at all. I mean, I knew I was on the radar a little bit with the UFC, but they wanted to see probably a couple more quality wins in the regional circuit. But there was an opportunity there. They needed somebody to step up. So this is the dream. I know the learning curve was somewhat high or whatever, but I'm not a big ego guy. I wasn't looking to protect my record or anything like that, and I knew where I wanted to be. So I jumped at the opportunity.
So you made your UFC debut, like you said, you made it in about 10 days, 11 days notice, against Misha Cirkunov, who obviously is currently ranked in the top 10, one of the hottest light heavyweights in the entire division. Unfortunately, you end up losing that fight. How did the experience of fighting him, has that changed you, or what did you learn from that fight?
I feel like that experience is the reason I'm sitting here at an American Top Team right now. As I got, it was a huge scramble to get me into another country and get ready and fight in Canada against him. So I really didn't get to delve deep or know that much about him per se. But as I come to know him and know that he was training out of TriStar, and just knowing that when you do make that transition, most of the guys who are successful at this level eventually have to pick one of the bigger camps as far as training partner-wise,
sure.
Iron sharpens iron type mentality. And just, you kind of get a visceral feel of a guy, even if you're only in there with him for a round or a couple minutes or something like that. And I just knew that more work needed to be done mentally and physically to even survive at this level. So I just sought out higher levels of competition, and then I sacrificed more. My wife's amazing because she took on a lot of the burden financially to help free me up to train more, and from that point on, I focused entirely on mixed martial arts because I feel like it's almost dangerous, if not naive, to try to fill up your plate with other activities and think that you're going to survive at this level. And then just based on my experience, that was kind of the writing on the wall. It was like, you need to be all in or you're going to get hurt. That's the only thing you're signing up to do if you don't take it as serious as these other guys. So that's what I did.
Okay. Now, you're returning to the cage this Saturday against Khalil Rountree. And I apologize for not knowing this. It's been about a year and a half since you've been out, since you fought. How come such a long layoff?
Injury. Tore my knee up a little bit, had a surgery, just had to bounce back from a major surgery, and that's a part of the sport too. Okay. So took the time to get healthy, bounce back, just recover. I mean, up until that fight with Misha, I could probably count on my hand how many times I'd maybe been to a doctor. As long as I was passing the physicals for a fight, I was good. So I knew that I wanted to make a big push. I just needed some time to give my body and my mind a rest and heal and get ready for this next big push.
Now, is the knee completely healed up and ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm good to go.
I know
it's been good for a while.
Okay, because I know a lot of times when guys hurt a knee, they actually be a little more cautious or worried about it. You're ready to go.
No, all those emotions have played out many months ago. So if I would have had any of those kind of feelings going into this, I wouldn't be fighting. So
okay. Now,
all that stuff's been addressed.
So you've been out almost about a year and a half now. Are you worried about any ring rust?
Worried? Not necessarily. I mean, ring rust, I don't know. I think it's going to be about as real as I make it. All fights unfold in the moment. Am I going to devote much time to it? No. Thinking about it? No. If things don't go my way, is that going to come out of my mouth that I felt rusty or whatever? No. Like I said, I feel great. I feel like I had a little bit longer camp here. I've done a lot more sparring than I've ever probably done in the past to get ready because I knew that I needed the contact to harden myself, and so I'm ready to go. It is what it is. I'm not going to even dangle that out there. No excuses whatsoever. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win.
Okay.
And that's all there is to it.
Yeah. So, you're fighting Khalil Rountree. How much film have you got to watch of this guy, and what weaknesses do you think you can expose?
I've watched a little film. I mean, primarily that's not my job. That's the coaching staff's job. Mine is to be able to implement what's asked of me and to be in shape and be ready to fight. So that's what I focused on. But obviously, when you pop on the film, anybody who knows anything about Khalil, the power jumps out at you. You know that you have to respect it without disrespecting yourself, obviously. But outside of that, like I said, with the long layoff and everything like that, and then just my mentality in general from day one, getting into this sport and making the transition from traditional martial arts to combat sports, this has been an introspective journey. So I've focused very little on my opponents throughout this process.
Okay.
I've always just been kind of about myself and forcing personal growth and stepping into the fire and kind of just being one of those people who seek out moments of fear and adversity and just stand in there to forge my character. That's a big part of why I do this sport in general. So it's never really about my opponent or what they're going to do or even outcomes. It's about just growing as a martial artist. Like I said, I've been doing this since I was a little kid. So I guess there's a certain dogma that I prescribe to as far as what I feel completes me as a martial artist. So this is just a part of my journey that started a long time ago. It's really not about the opponent. It's always about me.
Okay. I've heard a lot of fighters say similar things, but some fighters say they try not to focus on their opponent because if they do, they kind of will fall into fighting their opponent's fight instead of fighting their fight. Speaking of strategy sense, you're currently 0-1 in the UFC. He's currently 0-2. It's probably a lot of pressure. There's a chance that the loser of this fight might be cut from the UFC. Do you expect him to come out guns blazing like a trapped dog does? Or sometimes when the guy's, back against the wall, they'll fight very cautious, trying not to lose. Do you have an idea? Do you have any guessing what you expect for him to do?
I have no idea. I'm not going to get caught guessing. Every fight writes its story as it plays out. Like I said, I've been training and preparing for 8 weeks now, and I'll learn more about Khalil in the first 10 seconds than I probably knew about him in the last 10 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's kind of how fighting is. You have this idea, you have this feel, you have this expectation, this anxiety. You play out all these different scenarios in your mind, and then you get this immediate feedback from your opponent, and then that's when the fight truly begins, when you start problem solving as the seconds and minutes tick away in that opening round.
Now you're from Texas, and this fight is in Texas. I mean, you look at that as a positive? Like you're excited to fight in front of the hometown, or is it just any other fight?
Oh, of course I'm excited. My friends and family get to share the experience with me. That first stint on the UFC card, like I said, that was a whole country away. So, and such a short notice fight, no one could even scramble and be there to support even if they wanted to. So, I'm not a village unto myself. There's so many people who have sacrificed along with me on this journey that I invite them to come and share in the experience with me, and to be able to fight at home and all that kind of good stuff. That's just icing. I don't see it as added pressure.
Okay.
Even when I think about fighting at home, the people who truly care about me, they care and they want to see me be successful because they know that's what I want. It's kind of a selfish pursuit, but the people who truly care about me are just there to support. I'm the one chasing the win for whatever validation I need internally. So having them there and being able to spend time with them immediately after is going to be awesome.
And how many of your friends and family are going to be there?
I really don't know. I'm going to be surprised. I get, messages and little things in my comment feed when I posted stuff about the fight and stuff like that. So I know dad, wife, in-laws are going to be there, brother-in-law, some really, really good friends I grew up with back home are coming. But outside of that, I don't really know. It's going to be a surprise.
All right, so we're taping this interview on Sunday. You're fighting on Saturday. You have to weigh in on Friday. Your fight is scheduled for 205. You don't mind me asking, what's your current weight? And how much do you cut at the last minute?
I'm not a big cutter. I think the most I weigh from week to week is maybe 220. So I did the thing that everyone tries when they first get into MMA, or guys are still experimenting with now, where I tried to get down to 185 and I made it a couple times and it was awful. And all I thought about was the weight cut. I didn't even care about the techniques that were involved. I just obsessed about the weight, and I just wasn't enjoying it and it would affect my performance and my ability to take a shot. So about as naturally as you can be a 205er, I guess. I feel like I'm in that realm, so I can just focus on fighting and having a good time in there. So, like I said, I don't feel the need to be very big, and I like to think I'm kind of naturally strong from being a Division I athlete. I've been able to push weights and throw them around. I mean, I grew up in Texas. They put us under squat racks in like 7th grade.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Texas football is unlike any other place's football.
Yeah.
So we do this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
That's all good.
We do this thing. We stopped doing it, but we're bringing it back because by popular demand, we do this thing. We call it the fan forum question, where we ask people in our partner group, Sports Talk, their fan forum. They ask this question. This question comes from Jay Gibbs. He's from the Green Bay, Wisconsin area. He asks, if you had to start your career over and you can only train in one fight style, which fight style would it be?
If I could start my career over and only train one, I think I would definitely be a wrestler.
Wrestler? Now, did you wrestle any in like high school or anything like that?
Now, there was no wrestling in my high school or whatever, but I feel like if you're the dominant wrestler, sometimes you get to kind of like take the high ground. You get to control where the fight takes place. So,
of course,
I feel like that's probably a building block. And I know it's maybe a little add-on to his question, but boxing is very important. A close second. I feel like those are probably good staples to build an MMA game around if you could really get some high-level boxing, or even, like I said, and the most important is probably the wrestling, just because that frees you up even if you're trying to strike.
Yeah. So
that's where I would have started.
So his answer is wrestling for the fan forum question there. So Jay in Wisconsin. So one thing we like to close up our interviews, we like to do some predictions for the fight. So you got two teammates fighting on this card, Tisha Torres and Nico Price. Have you got to see them in the gym at all? And if so, how they look and what's your predictions for their fights?
No predictions. I haven't really ran into. There's a couple other facilities in and around South Florida, so I haven't really met the Nico guy. Tisha's been around, training great, cool person, but no comment in that regard. Just support them and watch them see. They'll put on a show.
Okay. So let's get to your fight. What's your prediction for your fight? No
prediction. Like I said, I wish I had a little more Mystic Mac in me, I guess, but that's just not my way. Like I said, I truly believe in the whole fight unfolding in the present. So I don't really have any predictions. And coming from a traditional martial arts background, and like I said, just the person I am, I don't really like to play that game or add fuel to the fire or try to disrespect. I mean, it's not even disrespectful. It's all in fun. I mean, if Khalil wants to predict it knocking me out in the first round or whatever, I'm perfectly cool with that. And I guess maybe as my career progresses and I develop more of a brand mentality, if I ever do, I might get into the prediction game.
Uh-huh.
But right now, it's just, like I said, growing and letting it play out and getting the W any which way possible. You know, we're both on that first contract. I kind of call it the dog-eat-dog contract. So you're just trying to survive right now.
Okay. We're going to let you get out of here. We have just one final question for you. And the question is, Daniel, have you submitted to the takeover?
Yeah, this is Daniel Jolly, and I submitted to the takeover.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just thank you for listening. We wish Daniel luck in his fight. We'll be cheering for him. We like to welcome you to the MMA Takeover family.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is another MMA Takeover special edition interview. We thank you for listening. To continue to receive the best MMA coverage around, head over to our website, themmmatakeover.com. That's themmmatakeover.com. You can also like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a good day.